put out into the deep. As a bass in the Cathedral Singers, I was really excited, thinking that this might be a recruitment campaign for those who sing in a lower register. But in actuality, we need altos, sopranos, tenors as well. So, in all seriousness, what caught my attention in the newsletter was the imagery of the net and the charge by Jesus to Simon Peter to cast your net. As a fisherman, Peter's net was closely associated with his livelihood, a physical resource that would have cost him to acquire, that he had to maintain. The gospel talks about he and others washing their nets when Jesus approached. And something that you couldn't just use haphazardly. You had to care for this livelihood. In our lives as well, our gifts and talents, the money we earn with those talents, they contribute to our livelihood and the thriving of our homes and our families. Often a fear of scarcity can cause us to resist sharing our earnings. We fear that there's not enough for everyone. I mean, think back to the beginning of the pandemic and toilet paper, the scarcity. You have to clear the shelves and hoard. Or just think back to the ice storm and can you find some milk on the shelf or some bread? Likewise with our gifts and talents. We may use them in service, of making our living, but casting out the nets of our talents for use in the church community, there's a risk. What if people don't appreciate them? Is it worth my time? Do they really have value? Like Simon Peter, we can feel a sense of unworthiness, that we're sinful people, that we just don't have anything to share, but it can also be a convenient excuse. But there is risk. Sure, Peter had quite a catch, but his nets were tearing, and his ship almost sank. Yet in the end, there wasn't a scarcity. Trusting Jesus and casting his nets brought in a bounty that he couldn't imagine. It was such a comfort to me after the isolation of the pandemic and after this time when we couldn't sing together, to be able to come back into this community that I felt and formed and with the Cathedral Singers. Early in Pope Francis's papacy, he introduced me to the devotion of Mary, Undoer of Knots. So let's pray that through her intercession, our knotted up nets keeping our talents and resources close to us can be untied, liberated, cast forth in faith, that God might grant us the trust to share our financial resources, knowing that there's enough for us and for everyone, and that our talents can be shared so that they can benefit others in abundance. So in closing, 3 things. Undo your knots, fill out those stewardship forms, and cast your nets. Thank you.